Mortal Kombat, or more accurately, should I say,
Immortal Kombat.
the reason we have the ESRB. For many of us, the first time we saw digitized blood, the first game that allowed me to pull a still beating heart straight out of someone's chest, rip someone's spine out of their back, or turn into a freaking dragon.
After 31 years, this franchise is still going strong. We've had 3 movies, all getting better along the way. We've had a live-action show. We've had some animated features that were really, really good. After that, we've got over 20 games, and we're going into the brand new game now.
With this new game promising to reboot, or more specifically, continue the previous trilogy's story by starting a new trilogy with a brand new story, but still continuing from the end of the previous games. My head hurts.
Yeah, time travel's complicated. Anyways, we got a new game coming out with new characters, new DLC characters, redesigned old characters, new fatalities, new brutalities, and with over 80 characters already in the MK universe, Chris and I decided that now would be a good time for us to rank all of the fighters. This is a long list, so we're going to do this in 8 separate parts. Here's the list of rules that we set for ourselves to make these rankings.
Number 1, each fighter will be presented as they were in their original debut, meaning if they become someone else or something else at some point, then that will be 2 entries. For example, Bihan Sub-Zero and Noob Saibot, along with Sub-Zero versus Cyber Sub-Zero, will all be separate entries.
The movies will not be a part of this list. Fuck Cole Young. Fuck the producers for putting him in the movie. Fuck Arcana. Fuck all this bullshit that they put in this movie. It's a Mortal Kombat movie. We knew there was going to be fireballs. We wanted fireballs. You don't have to explain fireballs to us.
Calm down.
Sorry.
Moving on. Number 3. This list, of course, is nothing official. It's a fun project that we wanted to work on together. We used the playability, the lore, power set, personality, design, and moveset of each fighter to come up with our opinions. We'd also love to hear your opinions, though. Hit us up in the comments. Let's keep it friendly, keep it fun, and discuss away.
Finally, if you enjoy this type of content, please like, follow, and subscribe. Turn your notifications on. Ring that bell. We appreciate all your guys' support over the years, and we can't wait to keep pumping out new videos for you on this Mortal Kombat content.
Kicking off this list at the very bottom, number 80 is Mocap. Introduced in Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance, this was basically an ode to, I think his name was Mike Pacina, who was the guy who did the Mocap work for Raiden in the older Mortal Kombat games. This guy is straight garbage. It's literally just a dude in a Mocap suit with some white balls on him. There's not much I can say about him. He only appeared in 2 games as a fighter, Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance and Armageddon, and cameoed in a few other games. He's got movesets that basically just borrow from other characters. There's no real lore to him. He's not important to the story. He's one of the blandest characters they've ever come up with. He really was around when Ed Boon, I guess, was just trying to throw as much characters as he can at the wall. And somehow this guy made it through. We're just going to move past it because he's horrible. There's not much more to say about it.
At number 79, we have fan favorite Meat. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. His name is Meat. He was an experiment that escaped Shang Tsung's pit before he could be completely formed. He made his appearance in MK4 and another appearance in Mortal Kombat Armageddon. However, this guy has 0 backstory. He's pretty much terrible. He's mocap, but without skin. Like, that's how bad this guy is. His moveset was terrible. We have no idea why Ed Boon decided to put him in the games. It was obviously a gag character that went nowhere with it. And there's really not much more to be said about Meat.
At number 78, the next guy that comes up is Hotaru, another guy who was introduced during Mortal Kombat Deception. It was through that 3D era where Ed Boon just wanted to give us as many random characters as possible. This guy, in my opinion, has somewhat of a cool look. He's inspired by Fireflies. He comes from the realm of Order, which is not a bad lore kind of decision, but the rest of him is just straight trash. There's nothing interesting about him. His fighting style was garbage. His fatalities were not memorable at all. His special moves were also not memorable. He kind of looks like the weird cousin of Fujin that no one really wants around, but you kind of got to have invited to the barbecue. He's number 78. Let's move on because, again, not much you can say about this character.
At number 77, we have no one's favorite character, Taven. Or Tavin. Or Taven. Who knows? Who knows how to say this guy's name? He was the main character in Mortal Kombat Armageddon, the Conquest mode. Basically, he's an NPC that you play as, which makes no sense. He's the Cole Young of the fighting game. We don't like this guy. I had to put him way lower. Honestly, I almost thought about putting him below Meat, but here we are, number 77. He's got very little backstory. Him and his brother Daigon have to go on some sort of quest, but they never really explain anything. His power set and his move set are pretty terrible. He's almost unplayable. So at number 77, I give you Taven.
At the next spot is our first sub-boss character. Number 76 is Moloch, or Moloch, or maybe Molach. I forgot how to say his name because that's how boring this character is. He's basically a lumbering ogre that has 3 eyes, carries a metal orb around. He was introduced in Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance as just a boss, and then you could play as him in Mortal Kombat Armageddon. Another character that really has a very bland design. He's green with some glowing yellow eyes. He's not memorable in any kind of way. And he really was one of the worst sub-bosses that Mortal Kombat's ever come out with. And they've come out with some pretty shitty sub-bosses. So I give you Moloch at number 76.
At number 75, we have Order World's Dairu. Dairu was a character that first made his debut in Mortal Kombat Deception and then wound up coming back for Armageddon, as everybody did. Dairu was such a slap-together monk character that it just never made an impact on the fans. He didn't have a great power set, not a great move set. His backstory was meh at best. Dairu just kind of fell by the wayside of them trying to bring us new characters that were really sloppily put together at that time. But that's number 75, Dairu.
Next up on the list at number 74 is Daigon, the brother of Taven or Tavin, however you say that one's name. And it's pretty fitting that they're both in the bottom 10 of the entire list. This guy, they tried to make seem a little more important by making him the sub-boss of the Conquest mode in Mortal Kombat Armageddon, which is also the game he was introduced in. But to give you an idea of how terrible this character was, he hasn't been in the game since. He's cameoed a few times. I think he was in the comic book. Otherwise, they just completely want us to forget that he exists. This guy has the ability to control fire. I feel like everyone does in the Mortal Kombat world. He's not that important, and hopefully they never revisit this character. He's not someone we want a reboot of. Please leave him out of it. Number 74, Daigon.
Number 73, we have Onaga, the Dragon King. Or should I say, the Dragon King? You know, he first debuted in MK Deception as a boss, and then he was a sub-boss in Armageddon. This is a clear ripoff of True Ogre from the Tekken series. MK was really floundering around the time of Deception, coming up with Deadly Alliance characters and all these new characters that they were coming in. The bosses were really suffering. This is also where we got Moloch, as we talked about earlier. Onaga slightly beats out Moloch, but not by much, which is why he's so low on this list. Power set, not great. He was kind of a pain in the ass to fight against. Wasn't fun. Wasn't like one of the more fun bosses that we get from Mortal Kombat. So at 73, Onaga.
Coming in at number 72 is Serena. So this is, in my opinion, the first example of a character that looks very bland with kind of a terrible move set and just was never really fun to play. Yet she, lore-wise, has a very good storyline. This is basically an assassin for Quan Chi who was really a demon, if I remember correctly. She needed Quan Chi's magic to keep her looking human. At some point in later games, she decides, oh, I found a way to basically stay human without Quan Chi's help. She befriends Sub-Zero and the Lin Kuei, and she becomes a force of good to fight the evil. But she still looks terrible and has never been fun to play. She was actually introduced in the Mortal Kombat world back with Mortal Kombat Mythology's Sub-Zero as a unplayable boss character, and then was added into the game in, you guessed it, Mortal Kombat Armageddon, where, again, every garbage fighter was thrown to the wall to see who stuck. Like I said, she has good lore, but nothing else about her really stood out, so she falls to number 72 on our list.
And last on this list, at number 71, we have Li Mei. Li Mei was the leader of an outworld tribe that got taken over by Shang Tsung and Quan Chi. She first made her appearance in Deadly Alliance, Deception, and Armageddon. Li Mei was trained by Bo Rai Cho. She's an Outworld sorceress. She just etched into this bottom 10 because basically she's the weakest sorcerer we have in Mortal Kombat. Her playstyle, her moveset really left a lot to be imagined for. Kind of a cool looking character, but when you really put it up against the rest of the cast, really falls by the wayside as more than forgettable. Unfortunately, Li Mei's character, even though she has a pretty decent backstory, never really caught on with the fans and with the community of being one of the top fighters. So rounding out this list at 71, we have Li Mei. So Chris, from mocap to Li Mei, that's our bottom of the barrel list. How bad does it get from here?
It was almost easy to pick those 10 because those are the ones that I forgot existed when we even started this list.
Yeah, when we started going through characters, like I had to look up a bunch of these to be like, who is that again?
I think the only one I remembered, if I'm being honest, is Taven, because essentially he gets killed 3 different times in different endings in Mortal Kombat, Deadly Alliance, or Deception, and maybe Moloch, but the rest of them,
Li Mei was the only one that I really remembered because like she had that big hat.
And it's saying something that Onaga, who was the big boss of his game, is so forgettable that we put him in the bottom 10 of all the Mortal Kombat fighters. So that's the bottom 10. Let's keep going to the next list. That does it for this video, but we have plenty more fighters to get through. Let us know in the comments what you thought of this list and who should be in the next 10 spots.